So I originally wanted to do this video as one of my Better GM vids, but when I realized that I was basically going to be bitching about my players and players in general, I figured it wasn't the right topic for a Better GM video. So I'll just get right to it. Now, let me preface all of this by saying that my players are some of the smartest people I've ever met, and I've met Matt Mercer, FBI profilers, FIDE competitors, top FIDE competitors, and I used to date a woman who was a member of Mensa. She actually suggested that I join, but after one particular Mensa meeting involving the two of us, a bottle of tequila, a pair of handcuffs, and a stolen pot-bellied pig, suffice to say things didn't work out between us, and I'll just leave it at that. But back to my original point, all of my players are some of the smartest people that I've ever met, which means they're also some of the dumbest people I've ever met. And I'm not just saying this because I once put a bridge in front of my Palladium Fantasy group back in Texas and had to spend an hour of the game just getting them to cross it. And that's an hour of my life that I'm not getting back. And I know you're sitting there watching this with that, huh, who, me, look on your face, but yeah, you know who you are. Now, before you return fire and start leaving nasty comments all over my YouTube and Facebook and my Twitter feeds and whatnot, just let me explain what I'm talking about here. All of us, yes, even myself included, possibly me more than most, we have a serious problem with overanalyzing things in-game that come our way. Sometimes we expect the situation to be more complicated, more dire than it really is, and try to either, outsmart or outthink the GM, when a lot of times the answer is really simple. And I can tell you from personal experience that if your GM is the same guy who runs the games in your group like 90% of the time, chances are they've put more thought into the game and the story and how it all fits together. Certainly more thought into that than they've put into like a really long convoluted series of steps, triggers, and or conditions you're going to have to either need to follow or say or avoid in order to avoid like a tripwire instead of just stepping over it. Because honestly, the tripwire is not the trap. The tripwire is the trigger for the trap. And if you remember my video about rules of adventuring, you need to just let the trap finder do his job anyway. And on that note too, the best GMs are not only the ones who are able to roll with the punches of general insanity that their murder hobo players are going to throw at them, but they're also the ones who actually make the traps that have a really simple fix, or it's easy to avoid. Which actually reminds me of a game that we played some years ago. It was Azrith, Cassandra, and I with our friend TJ and our dear friend Mark was running. Now, side note for clarification, this is not Cassandra's ex-husband Mark, this is not Pastor Mark, it was our friend Mark, but that right there, that's also why I maintain that 50% of all gamers are named Mark, 25% are named Matt, and the other 25% is everybody else. Anyway, so Mark was running, and this is one of the reasons why he's one of the better GMs that I was talking about a little bit ago with Bunny Rabbit Ears. Because for everyone who's told me that I'm the best GM that they've ever had, that they've played with, I do maintain that there are quite a few people at the very least, out there who are better than me. And Mark and Cassandra are well entrenched in the top 5 on that list. So we're playing 4th edition, and this was one of our famous or infamous Team Glass Cannon games. 3 rogues and 1 paladin, which left poor Azrith being the one who had to who had to trail behind and keep the rest of us alive when we go off on a murder spree of innocent townsfolk and we decide to redecorate taverns with fire. We're in a dungeon, and we come to this room. The floor is made of these beautiful crystal tiles that give off this light blue glow. And we took about 30 minutes to try to figure out the safe path that we had to walk through the tiles around the room in order to basically find the path through the room that would allow us to step on tiles without getting shocked, without getting electrocuted. What really irked most of us was that we had just fought one combat outside the room, and got the drop on that group of bad guys when they came out, but we wound up getting shocked so often and making so much noise inside the room another patrol came for us, and we had to go through another fight in the room. The second group of bad guys never stepped on a tile that shocked them, so we made sure to mark where they we made sure to mark where they stepped, so that we could figure out the path for ourselves once combat was over and once Azrith was able to heal us again. And let me just say also, I don't know how you managed to keep us alive in game at all, but you did, and you managed to do it in spite of our best efforts to get ourselves killed. So much love, bro. And for any of you out there, who don't think that this was an amazing feat, go play the original Final Fantasy on the original Nintendo Entertainment System. Okay, I want you to make your party up of 1 fighter and 3 thieves. Okay, and see just exactly how long you last. If you actually get to the point of the game where the fighter becomes a knight and can use some low-level healing to keep himself and the rest of his party, which is now 3 ninjas, alive, then you have some idea of what Azrith was dealing with. And if you actually managed to accomplish that, let me know, and leave a note in the comments below. So it wasn't until we were out of the room that we noticed a sign on the wall. The sign was obviously meant for the bad guys who would have to come this way and cross this room, heading out, because of course our characters were heading in. The sign said, "Look up." And so we all poked our heads back inside the room, looked up at the ceiling, and carved into the stone ceiling was the line that follows the path of safe floor tiles through the room. Simple way of avoiding a rather ingenious trap, and the three rogues in the party. You'd think one of us would have thought of it. No, we just marched right in and started getting shocked left and right. So, now I could tell you about a dozen different stories from my own games of when my own players had to make things more complicated than they actually were. One of my favorites, as a matter of fact, was supposed to involve going for a safe and warm trip underwater inside a temple on the back of a giant turtle. And of course, how they were certain it was a trap, which is exactly what led the entire party to almost drowning and but not before almost dying of hypothermia. But hopefully the takeaway from all of this in the future is just remember to start out simple and then go for what might seem like the more complicated and difficult answer from there. Because trust me, not every encounter, and by encounter I mean conversation with an NPC, puzzle that needs to be solved, or trap that needs to be avoided and or disarmed, not every encounter is going to be life and death. Which is why, faithful YouTubers, subscribers, and hopefully also Facebook friends, I deliver unto you Rule 70 of adventuring knowledge. Don't overthink it. Start with a simple solution first, and move on from there. Okay. So, I'm looking to do another, that's all for now, realistically. I'm looking to do another QA video sometime in the future, hopefully one that Azrith is going to sit in with me and do. So we need some questions to answer, so feel free to post things on YouTube, message me on Twitter or Facebook. Post your questions there for either for him or for both of us. And like I said, my other QA video, my last QA video, I am also working on a QA video specifically for a very special lady in my life, and that QA video itself is also forthcoming. But we want to do another one, so we need more questions. Keep your questions coming in. So that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Again, I'm Gabriel Stryffe, coming at you from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Equitas Veritas Bellatus. And don't forget, always look up.